Hello, welcome to another episode of eTraining Guides. Today we're going to be going over how to install and configure in CMG, and particularly the CMG VM scale set. So with that, let's get started. Now there's a lot of moving parts to this. So there's my SCCM server. Now there's a couple certificates that I had to create. And I copy them over to my SCCM server. One of them was the this right here, and then the root certificate. So to start with that, you go to your domain controller, which I did earlier. And I just created those two certificates. Alright, so let me just minimize that. Alright, what I did was I created two different certificates. And I go to my certificate authority. And I went to manage. And what I did was I duplicated the web server. And I gave it a name. And I gave it CMG Web. And you want to, in the security section, you want to add the, that's not going to show me here, add the domain computers, and then you want to give it a name. And then you want to make sure the domain computers has read and enroll rights. And then I also right-clicked on here and went to properties, and I exported the, click on view certificate, and then details, and then I said copy file, and that's how I exported my root certificate, and then I copied them both over to my SCCM server. So that's what I've done here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, but first I added the Azure Cloud Service. Went ahead and did that, cloud management, cloud attach, and then did that. Yeah, this is for cloud management. So anyway, you just need the cloud management. So I did that. And so now I'm getting ready to add the CMG. So here you have your option. Now before you actually see this, you have to make sure that under features, let me just get out of here for a second. Go to features. You need to turn on Cloud Management Gateway with Azure VM Scale Set. So we're going to be doing VM Scale Set because the Classic is going away. In 2203, you will not be able to use the Classic anymore. I'm still on the 2111, as you can see. So I need to upgrade my VM Scale Set. So let me go back over to here. Now, you have to enable that, otherwise you won't see that option VM Scale Set. So I'm going to do scale set. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in with my global Azure account, and it's going to, there it goes, and I'm on the pay-as-you-go. You can select whatever subscription you want it to be part of. So click on next. Now I want that certificate that I told you I created. So there's that, and then the password. And then it's going to be US because that's where everything is. I'm going to create a new one. I'm just going to call it MEM. And then I'm going to give it a lab because it's small. So again, if you want to, if you do medium, that's like around 6,000 clients. And if you do large, that's about like 10,000 clients. But for my lab environment, I'm just going to call it lab because it's really small. I'm going to uncheck verify client certificate here, because it's a lab and I don't really need to use this component in here. Everything else is fine. So then I need to click on certificates and I add. There's my root certificate. And there's my root certificate. Maybe make sure. Yeah. That's it. And then click on OK. And then next. And then I'll leave this on. I'm going to leave the default settings here, but you can specify a different scope if you want to. I'm going to leave it as default. Next. And then next, and it's going to start working. And it goes. Now it's going to be provisioning, and it will take some time. And now you see it says VM scale set. So once that's complete, one of the things you want to do while you're waiting for that is when you come down to your servers, I have a management point here. You want to make sure that while we're waiting for that, the management point has allow config manager cloud management gateway traffic. So you want to check this box. And then you also want to do the same thing with your WSUS under your software update point. You want to click allow config manager traffic. And I just select on both for right now. So, and that's the two. Now you can create a separate boundary group if you want to. You can call it CMG boundary or whatever you want to call it, and define what those are. But I'm not going to do that because it's a small lab. You don't need to have that boundary group, but you can define a boundary group, and you want to make sure that in your boundary group you add that CMG. As you can see here, see how it's created. It created this CMG, and it also created its a distribution point here as well. So now I'm just waiting for it to finish. And then under client settings, you want to go ahead and click on properties. And under cloud services, you want to say yes. You want to make sure all of these say yes. Okay. When you first come in here, this is going to say no, and the other two are going to say yes. Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I'm under cloud. I think the delivery optimization used. I put yes there. Want to make sure that's there, and that's basically it. So now, okay, so once it's done provisioning, you'll see when you come in here, you'll see that everything is, and it says ready, and provisioning complete. So this is what you should see. And then when you come down to distribution point, you'll see that this has been created, and you can see this cloud, and it's got this version of the site code and the version of the config manager, which I'm now on 2207, and you'll see it's cloud. And I did create a distribution point called cloud DP group, so then you can add your cloud DPs in there. You may have created some additional DPs in Azure or AWS, and you can put them in here, put all DP cloud groups or whatever. And then also, if you wanted to create some boundary groups based on the cloud, you can call cloud DP, put all your IP ranges that's going to be for the cloud, and then you put in all your site codes like in here. Let me just create that for you. It's just so you can cloud boundary groups, and then you can add your boundaries. You can add whatever, I'm just going to say, I'll just use that one for example. And then your references, you want to add your primary, your cloud, your WSUS, and whatever, there's your DP. So you don't really need this DP because that's not in the cloud. And you just click on OK, and then that's it. And then there's your cloud boundary group. So there you go. And that's basically it. So once you have, now one of the things that you want to bring out when you create your management point in here, when you go into your settings, I did create, I moved the slider over to pilot, like once you configure endpoint analytics, and I also did this as well, and then enable like all, or you can do into auto enrollment, like if you want to do a specific pilot, you can do that. And then the workloads, I put everything in the pilot so I can just kind of play around with the policies, all these settings. And then the groups that I'm using for all of those settings, so I'm moving everything over to pilot. So I just basically put all my workstations over there, and that's basically it. So once I configured all of these settings, you configure Azure services, and it creates these Active Directory, and then the full sync schedule, how often they happen, I just put the default. And then of course my Active Directory tenant that's in there, and then of course, okay, so once you have set up your virtual machine scale set and it says ready, and you configured all of these components underneath the cloud services, like your cloud attach, and you configure those settings, you just click on this button to do that. Your Azure services that consist of the cloud attach and your Active Directories, your discovery and the group discovery that's in there, as well as your Active Directory tenant attaches your applications that are that gets created up in Azure. And then your obviously your cloud management gateway with the new virtual machine scale set, as the classic has been deprecated. And so now we're ready to start managing internet-facing clients and doing some other things within Intune. And so we'll be doing some videos on that. So let me know what you'd like to see in regards to those kind of videos that you'd like to see within the Intune and cloud management gateway and things that we can do with it. So stay tuned for that. Again, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. There's going to be a lot more content around the cloud and co-management type stuff. So stay tuned. I'll talk to you. See you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.